January 6th committee is looking to Ivanka Trump for more answers about what happened inside the White House on January 6th. Ivanka asked her father to call off the violence that day, and the committee hopes that she can shed light on what exactly former President Trump was doing and saying while the attack unfolded. This is the committee's first voluntary ask of a Trump family member, as investigators focus on Trump's inner circle. So for more on this, I want to bring in Scott MacFarlane. He's joining me now from Capitol Hill. Scott, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Committee Chairman Benny Thompson issued a letter to former first daughter and senior advisor Ivanka Trump yesterday, detailing new evidence on her role that day of the assault. So what information do they have, and what is the committee looking to learn about the events on January 6th from her?
Anne-Marie, good morning. It's worth underscoring again, this is not a subpoena. This is a voluntary interview request. At least it is for now for Ivanka Trump. They lay out in their letter to Ivanka Trump many of the things they want, but what they're really leaning into is they want to know what she heard on her end the morning of January 6th when Donald Trump was on the phone in the Oval Office with Mike Pence, ahead of the electoral count here at the Capitol. Of course, ahead of what ended up being the U.S. Capitol attack. They want to know what her side sounded like, what the conversation sounded like on her end. But also, they've made clear White House staff tried to get Ivanka Trump to intervene later in the day to have Donald Trump address the lawlessness and the violence here. They want to know more about that. They want to know about what she was saying and what she was hearing that day. Also noted in this letter, the outtakes that are being requested. The committee says it has information that there were previous recordings of the video Donald Trump posted at 4 p.m. January 6th in which he did not ask the rioters to go home. They say they want information about that, and Anne-Marie, they say they want to see and hear those outtakes.
So I imagine, because we've heard that some 300 people have already spoken to the panel, that, you know, in some of those conversations, they got information that led them to Ivanka Trump. That is very close to the president's inner circle. You can't get any closer than his eldest daughter. Is there an expectation that we will see more requests from people, for people very close to his inner circle or in his inner circle, to speak to the committee?
Yeah, and that's what this past week has shown us, Anne-Marie. Not only has the former first daughter been asked to appear, but there were subpoenas issued in recent days to the inner circle. Trump's lawyers after the election, Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell. Those subpoenas were issued. They want depositions. They're moving closer and closer to the real nucleus around Donald Trump in those pivotal weeks after the election. We know they've been talking to people who were close to the former president during the administration, perhaps no one closer than his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. They've subpoenaed Steve Bannon. He didn't abide by it, so they're now prosecuting Steve Bannon at the Justice Department for contempt of Congress. But they're shifting now, not just trying to talk to the former president's family, but to all those advisors who had his ear as he challenged the 2020 election results and made baseless claims of widespread fraud, Anne-Marie.
All right, who gave him all that legal advice? I do find it interesting that they're not subpoenaing Ivanka Trump. I wonder, without a subpoena, does the committee have any tools to compel her to speak to them?
If they have those tools, they're not showing those tools yet. I had a long conversation with a member of the House January 6th committee late yesterday and asked that very question. If she doesn't come in for the voluntary interview, are you going to subpoena Ivanka Trump? The committee member says we're not at that point right now. And then the committee member says she expects Ivanka Trump to show up out of a, quoting now, sense of patriotism. So this is a voluntary request unequivocally from the committee, and they have a date. They expect or hope she'll show by February 3rd or February 4th. That's important for a lot of reasons, because it's a pretty quick time frame, just a couple of weeks away. But also, a different member of the House January 6th Select Committee told me recently they hope to have primetime hearings right here during February to both show some of what they found in this exhaustive investigation, but also to keep probing, to look for more information, to continue oversight and investigating. So presumably, if that timetable holds, Ivanka Trump would sit with them before they speak to the nation and try to change hearts and minds about what happened January 6th.
Excuse me, Scott, before we let you go, I want to ask you about a win that the committee got that I never got a chance to talk to you about yet. The Supreme Court rejected former President Trump's request to block the release of some White House records to the January 6th committee. We're talking about phone logs, memos, all kinds of stuff that's in the archives. Can you talk more about the court's decision and how big of a win this is for the committee investigating the assault?
Yeah, the Supreme Court has cleared the release of Trump White House records from the National Archives to the committee. That's two things, Anne-Marie. That's a big victory and a big burden because there can be a tonnage of information handed over, and this committee, which is navigating hundreds of interviews, all of its investigating, will now have to pour through all of those records. It could be a complication because they're trying to move quickly. They feel they have a deadline of summer 2022, this coming summer, to finish their work, and now they have a fire hose of more information coming in. We've seen a similar dynamic with the U.S. Justice Department investigation. They have the largest criminal investigation in American history looking into January 6th, and they are backlogged because there's so much evidence. Thousands of phone devices and records, tens of thousands of pieces of paper, all of the video from this complex, tens of thousands of hours of video. Anne-Marie, if you and I sat down to watch tens of thousands of hours of video, we wouldn't finish this year. So the January 6th committee has a taste of what the Justice Department has, a huge investigation they're trying to move quickly with.
Yeah, and it's not just going through the stuff. They're looking for evidence. They're trying to connect the dots. Yeah, it's a major endeavor, Scott. Thank you very much.